Hello, everyone, and welcome to horrornightoasis, a radio show where we discuss all the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight for this special occasion is my co-host, Ian. Ian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, it's oh boy. We got ourselves a special show, special month going on, as we mentioned last episode. Uh, but yeah, it's just a lot of stuff's going on now, and we again, my head's frazzled. That's because it feels like I got attacked with a puppet and beat over the head senseless with a baseball bat. Oh, so
It
here we are.
happens.
Yeah, it happens, and it happens. But we are here to kick off a brand new marathon for the remainder of January. And for those who don't know, back when we did our year of the marathon in 2020, every month or so, this director kind of slipped through the radar every marathon we do. We did a mermaid marathon. We did a scarecrow marathon. We did a Christmas marathon. Her films would somehow slip through the cracks unexpectedly. And so we kind of noticed some similarities to other films and how actors and plots and scripts and everything else was just kind of the same film. And then we just decided there's a rabbit hole here that Ian found, and it's just again a lot of people in that UK realm of filmmaking across the pond. Whereas like again Andrew Jones before he passed away, now it's like Scott Chambers, and of course who we're featuring tonight for this marathon, Miss Louisa Warren, as we're calling it, the Madness of Louisa Marathon, where we're going to be taking a look at some of her newer projects because the last one we discussed on the show was The Leprechaun's Curse, and that one was a mess, literally and figuratively. You just have to go back. It's available. You can check it out. That film was just a mess, and everything just did not work. And I think after that, we just decided we needed to just like ease it down because she wasn't putting out too many newer films. I mean, besides like the Dr. Carver films and a few things here and there, but nothing really to, in a Tooth Fairy movie, nothing to really sink our teeth into. And here recently, she's been hard at work and releasing a lot of stuff back to back to back to back. And we're going to try to cover those the best we can by exploiting our minds with a marathon. And of course, tonight, it's already dawned on us what we've already got ourselves into. We already knew this undertaking. We're two fools, doing stuff for no reason other than endure horrendous torture. But again, every now and then with these films, like again with the marathon, something popped out. We're like, okay, this was all right. This was fine. Like Pagan Warrior, Vikings versus Krampus. That one was, again, still the best output filmography she's put out, which I've seen. Again, I've seen a lot more than Ian has, but again, that's just my undertaking because, like, I wanted to watch other shit she put out. Like, I watched Dr. Carver. I watched that COVID era stuff that she released after Leprechaun's Curse, just because I wanted to know. And it doesn't get any better during that COVID era. But we're here to move on past that era, the pandemic era, where it was just a few rooms and a few people in a room and making the 90-minute movie that didn't need to be 90 minutes. But we're going to go on here and bash ourselves over the head to talk about tonight's feature, Punch and Judy. And There they are, Mr. Punch and Mr. Judy. Um, Boy, this one was something. Um, it's not as bad as Leprechaun's Curse, and it's not as bad as some of the other films that she's put out, but we'll get into that. So, Punch and Judy, um, Ian, we're just gonna have to kind of do spoilers throughout this one because there's no other way around it. So the film starts off with two people, and they're kneeling in front of a Punch and Judy stand. You know, one of those playbill stands where you have the ventriloquist or puppeteer behind it and coming up, oh puppets, and they're basically sacrificing or giving Punch and Judy a sacrifice to appease them for something in return. And then 40 years later, um, we're introduced to the grandma of the family. Her name's Val, and apparently she was, well, not apparently. It comes to known that she was um, in cohorts with the Punch and Judy dolls, and she's slowly sort of going crazy. And again, like she wants to get rid of the Punch and Judy dolls, and she waits 40 years later on her birthday to do it, which is kind of weird. Plot device. Like, oh, 40 years later, I'm going to bury this box instead of any time previously. So she goes out there, and her granddaughter, Madison, watches her as she digs up like an inch of dirt with a shovel and buries the box or a letter that's inside the box. Um, and so she's watching her grandmother. She passes out for some reason, and then they bring her into the house. And then Madison's telling her mom, Tori or Victoria, that grandma's acting funny, and it's also her birthday, as I mentioned. And there's all these people that's supposed to come over the following day to celebrate their grandmother's birthday. And so the dolls, Punch and Judy, soon come to life again, um, for reasons that soon get unfolded towards the very, very end of the film. I was sitting there for half the time, like, okay, so the dolls are just alive now. Like, what happened there? But it's just bad planning of the film and a bad plot device, really, because they just tossed it in there at the very end for reasons. So Madison invites her friends over, Sally and Beth, and Sally is apparently her girlfriend, which I did not know that until a certain pivotal scene towards the halfway mark. I thought they were just besties, but apparently they were girlfriend. Um, and so grandmother Val, she's still doing things, and the puppets are just running around the house. Um, uh, then her Victoria, the mom, her sister comes over, which is Beth's mother, and her husband, and they're all just congregating in the living room guest area, and the little puppets, Punch and Judy, and the two other minions of Punch and Judy are just scattering around the house, and things happen that involve Punch and Judy, and then there's like a lot of drama and a lot of dialogue involving the mother, well, the grandmother, and then her daughters, and then Beth disappears, which she gets attacked by the dolls, and then like the mother, Lila and James, which is Beth's parents, go searching for her and trying to find her. Oh, she probably just left because she's studying for an exam. Everything's just nonchalant, passed over, glazed over, like, oh, whatever, she's just doing this, she's gone, whatever. And yeah, just Punch and Judy are just there to bumblefoot around the house. And Ian, this film, at points this film was good, and at points this film sucked. And I was thinking it's 75% boring and
Yeah.
25% fun.
Yeah, I actually
Because,
agree with that.
yeah, because the family dynamic is really what hinders this film. Because it's not that strong. It's just haphazardly put together, and it's like a spaghetti strainer. Like you put the spaghetti in there, and it's just like the water comes rushing out, where it's like all the flavor's gone. Like it's just like they should have done. Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with this, because there's so many ups and downs that this film takes. Whereas like parts of me was like, again, the puppet stuff with Punch and Judy. At points that was unhinged. It's sort of unstable. Where it's just like, where'd this come from? I wish this whole movie was like that, where it's just fucking stupid with the people with hand puppets attacking people with knives and stuff, and cutting their eyes out and biting them. And then the Punch and Judy, their mouth, they use the effect. It's like a filter that you would see on a dog TikTok, Instagram, Facebook video where the animals are talking. It's just like a bad filter that they use
Yeah.
for the dolls. And just like, and their voices are all right. If you can hear them, that's another issue we'll get into. The audio problems is just horrendous. But like the dolls themselves are all right. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. Where it's like the most fun was coming from the dolls, and everything else was just in one ear out the other. Like I could care less about anything. And like what, and if you're supposed to care, you can hardly hear it, and like the reasonings behind everything. Um, like there's an exposition dump later on by Grandma Val, and like the music is just so overlaid that you just couldn't understand the reasonings why she did the things she did. And like I had the volume all the way up almost, at least 60 on the TV. It's like I can still barely make it out. Because I don't
Yeah,
know if they
no,
were using, I don't know if they were using a boom mic at all, or they were just using the video equipment camera mic. It's just like it did not pick up hardly any audio from the actors throughout the film, or it was just edited poorly. Either or, you could barely make anything out. Just the drama between the family was just reasons for no reasons whatsoever. You're like, oh, I think mom, there's another birthday card with another birth date on it, and like I think I have another sister, and like, no, you don't have another sister, and like you would know because she's talking to her other sister Lila, and they're just bickering back and forth about the other sister and family and their mother. And there's just like so many things that happen throughout the movie where it's just ridiculous. And I don't want to get into that just yet, but I personally, again, it's not Louisa's worst. It's not
definitely not.
this. I mean, again, compared this to Leprechaun's Curse, I mean, it's yin and yang, but I felt like there was more. Leprechaun's Curse was just failing miserably, and you just couldn't help but gawk at it, because like everything, it was just watching a wreck, and you just had to watch it, and you just like it's a terrible situation, a wreck, but you're just sitting there laughing uncontrollably at like how bad it is, like I can't believe this is going on. And then like another car happens, it's just one of those highway crashes, and it just keeps going and piling up back to back to back. And that's how Leprechaun's Curse was. This one, it's just kind of boring until the puppets show up, and then you have a few minutes of unstableness where it's just fun, just watching stupid puppets attack people, where it felt like a lame Puppet Master knockoff movie that Charles Band would try to pawn off, but like poorly done. And and then it goes back to this family drama and relationship drama, and then it really gets heavy-handed towards the hour mark, which we'll get into. And but yeah, I can't really suggest it besides the puppets. But Ian, your thoughts, and then we'll go back and forth, and we'll get really into the meat and potatoes of this.
Okay, So I absolutely love Puppet Master. Like, I love those movies. So those little puppets, like you said, it does give you that feel, and I feel like that's what she was actually, trying to go for, was a Puppet Master esque film. And there's so many aspects in which this movie is like enjoyable and just fun and silly. And then there's the boring parts, and those happen to be no puppets. Like, the puppets actually make the film great, and I kind of wish there was more of it. But then they just, I feel like the reasoning for everything that happens, it's just absolutely weak. Like,
but you think?
it's like, it's just so, it's like one of the weakest parts of the film, and that's, supposed to be the meat and potatoes, and the puppets are supposed to be like little desserts. Like, that's what I felt like it should have been. But like, when you're fed slop and you're given at least an okay, pastry, that's what I felt like. It was just like, it wasn't anything great. It wasn't
It has the
anything
powdered
terrible.
sugar on top of it to mask the blandness.
Yeah, no, like that's just what my issue, and it's like sucks because I was just sitting here when the puppets were coming on, and they were like doing their little shenanigans and talking and doing like the little like robot chicken mouth movement. I was like, I love this. I was like, this movie is something like I should have been like absolutely head over heels for, because I love stupid doll movies like this. And like, as a doll movie, it works perfectly. But as like a story, it falls apart every 5 seconds. To the point where they have to they're like, "Oh, hey, we have shot so much of this movie already, and we're close to the end, but we haven't told anybody what the fuck is going on. So let's just do that now." Here is 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes of us just explaining everything to you, instead of like giving you hints and clues throughout the movie. Because I couldn't, like, I was constantly, because I was listening to it on my stereo, and I was like turning it up and turning it down, turning it up and turning it down. Some parts were like even louder. Like, I was like, okay, this is a good volume. And then like this woman like yelled or something, and it shook my wall. And I was like, I have neighbors. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, this movie came out what, last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, last year. It's whatever. It's fine. A couple years.
Yeah. So you'd think she, would have enough money and stuff to get proper sound equipment like that. I mean, that's not. I'm not. If you are a small, low indie horror movie making for the first time and all that, that's great. But she's worked on like tons of movies. She's worked with people. She's worked, she's, edited and done all this stuff with other people's films. And she went to film school, and she's been doing this for what, a decade or longer?
Yeah, around 10 years or so.
Invest in better, like, at this point, you can fault the director for not having proper equipment. Because, I mean, like, there's people who make less movies than she does, and who also make low indie horror and they save up to get better equipment and then sell off old equipment. Like I get
especially with her filmography too, especially because when she was doing the filming during the pandemic, I mean, like again, I'm glad she went out there and did stuff, but man, those efforts, like those weren't the best, and it shows. And like this one again, you're coming off that, and like the audio is all fine in those other ones, like Leprechaun's Curse and Dr. Carver and what was the other one? There's another one I watched. I forgot what it was. But like probably one of the Tooth Fairy movies. But like all the audio was like fine, and like this one, like you could. Why would you have the music so loud during the exposition dump of like the central crucial part of the story, and you're gonna go, well, bump, 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 like you couldn't hear it, and like seriously, like it's like how can you hear anything? But yeah, it's just like the choice, and it's probably going to be a common factor and theme throughout the rest of the month with this. But yeah, but I didn't mean to cut you off there, Ian.
Oh no, dude, you're great. Like, no, like this movie, as I said, has a lot going for it. It's got, like the puppets are pretty good. Like, they do have the best sound quality, except for the fact that they are edited in there like super lower than the rest of the film. So anytime somebody like talks over them, you can't hear them.
No.
And then
it's all muffled.
Yeah, and then but it doesn't have the whole like room tone echo going on. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm going to harp onto the sound because like that was such an issue for me because like I said, I had to constantly turn it up and turn it down. And that's annoying because that means I have to take my eyes off the screen long enough to constantly adjust the volume so I can properly hear it without like, because, my computer room is right next to like shares the same wall that my son sleeps. So like, I can't have it too loud. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to wake my kid up because I have to adjust the sound. And it was kind of pissing me off a little bit. Video wise, I thought it was all right. But
it's just cheap. It's just another one of those cheapies where it's just like, you just got a bunch of people in a house and it's just like, all right, let's do this. And like, we need a outside exterior scene. Okay, let's just all the adults just walk down this road for some reason. Bring up the sister aspect. Oh, do I have a sister? And like, like I heard what you said to Mom. Bitch, you were like 40 feet down the other direction. How could you overhear your sister talk to your mom like that? I was like, that's another thing. Like, there's just so many like little continuity things too that just bug me.
Speaking of continuity, somebody needs to tell her that when the like electricity isn't working,
oh my God,
that the lights should be turned off.
Okay, now this background. We have to get into this because this is ridiculous. All right, this whole electricity subplot. Like, why is it a main thing? Why is it a staple? Okay, so the power goes out before technically like very early on. Everyone's still alive. Everyone's still alive, I believe. And Grandma Val's acting crazy upstairs, and then the power just goes out, right? And like, well, I can't fix it. I need to go get a screwdriver. And like, well, what happened to the screwdriver or the wrench? I need it. I don't know where it's at. And so apparently the power is off then. But then it's the next day and the power is on. And then that day, which is her birthday, Grandma Val, she is taking a shower. And the Punch and Judy throw a blow dryer into the tub, electrocuting her. Power's still on. after that because her daughters come in and find her dead in the bathtub. Power's still on. So it's still, again, that day into the next day. Power is still on. And so the girl, what was her name? Sally, she's taking a shower. She comes out of the shower, right? And they go into the hallway because they're about to leave to go out to the lake or pond. And then the mom comes up, sorry, girls, the power's not working yet. And then it cuts to the girls, and then there's the lights on the wall with the power still on. And like the continuity was just fucking horrendous because.
And that's like, that was just crazy too, because you're literally saying the power is not on. And if you just like look, you're like, but your lights right next to your fucking head are on. Like that's intentional at that point.
Well, they do break fourth wall at the end, so maybe, I don't know. But that was just like everything going on with the electricity was just like, I was just wanting to punch air, you know, like what is going on? Like, can you see this so obvious in your face? You know, it's like you farted and you're blaming it on someone else. Like,
and you're the
like,
only
well, you know, it's something. We know it's that person, obviously, but you're not going to accept it and fix, you know, and say you did it. You know, it's just like it's so glaringly obvious that they needed to fix that little error. All they had to do was flip a switch off, and the lights would be off. But no. It's too much hard work.
Right.
And then the sister Lila, she took a shower before that. You know? I mean, they killed her in the shower. And so she was able to take a shower and there was electricity. Oh, the next day, early morning, sorry, no power. Like where? And it's like crucial. It's fucking crucial.
Right.
It's nonsense, but it's literally crucial because like that's how things are happening. They're going through the house doing all this shit when there's power, but yet there's no power.
Yeah, that's just like, you know, between like that shit, the continuity, the audio, the just like everything else, it's just like, it's just so much, and it was so distracting. Like, I found myself paying attention to other like mild things more than I was paying attention to the movie because there was just so much going wrong with it. And I'm just like, oh my Lord. It's like, I've seen, you know, like, I'm glad that at least there was some good to the movie instead of just like absolutely like shit. Because if it wasn't for the puppets being as like you know, like, yeah, like goofy.
Yeah.
It was like goofy. And that's what I want. I want to see goofy, like puppet or dolls. And shit, I mean, no fucks were given about the puppets either. Because
no, it was too serious. That's the thing. Like something like this, it didn't need to take itself so seriously.
Exactly. Yeah.
This they go for the fucking fences in that halfway mark. And we might as well get into it. They talk about sexual assault.
Yeah, that came out of fucking nowhere. And it's like, what were you
like
wearing?
They're all lovey-dovey like 30 minutes prior, and then they get up to do something, like go away, and then like she spills her guts, like the Sally and Madison, and like Madison like spills her guts to Sally, and then Sally like goes around and blames it on her. Like, how dare you? You know, because it's her brother that Madison is claiming the assault happened with. And then they go on this like 5-minute spiel about sexual assault at this party, and just like it goes deep, and like, you know, a lot of vitriol goes back and forth, and then like there sort of brings itself back together towards the end of the movie. But it's like it's so damn serious for a fucking stupid killer puppet movie, where you can actually see the people, their hands in the puppet and the arm. Like,
it is so funny because like in one scene when oh god, I forgot which one it was that walked out of the bedroom and those two were sitting on the chair, just sitting up.
yeah,
You could see the hand move, like the whole hand was like, you know, stretching while they were doing this, and I was like,
yeah.
I see your freaking fingers, bud.
And then the one with Beth comes in there and like
He's possessed by the devil and his twin sister.
But when like Beth goes in there and she, you know, you're talking about seeing their hands move and everything, and like she's so stone faced, like she's giving it her all to be as solid as a rock with these stupid ass puppets. And like it didn't need to be this way. The one that film that reminded me of that we reviewed is Toys of Terror, the Christmas one where the toys are in the attic, and it's like sort of Robot Chicken-esque, and it still has that family dynamic vibe to it, but it's not as in your face as sexual assault, but it still has that fun vibe to it. This should have been not as serious. And that's the thing I think with Louisa's films is like she wants to be a serious filmmaker and she's doing all this, you know, all these ordeals with like these very serious subject matters, and the end result is just like puppets. Really, we're gonna talk about sexual assault with puppets. You know, where on the doll did it touch? You know, the person touch you. You know, we're doing this. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of understand that they needed to do what they did at the end of the movie and like to give a good reason for it, but like,
but Ian,
it still didn't make sense. Like I get where they were trying to go with it, but the dots weren't, you know, connecting. Like, and it was just, I was just like, you know, like taken, like I literally had to like do a double take because I was like, what the fuck did I miss? Because it literally just comes out of nowhere. Like they just threw this in to add like random strife, and but I don't know. It was just a
like I said,
the story was just all over the place.
It was, and like so. Well, let's get into spoilers here because we have to get to a few other instances of the film. So Grandma Val or Granny Val, basically, her daughter, Victoria, Tori, whichever one, Madison's mother, she died when she was an infant, and so she sacrificed a person to Punch and Judy because apparently Punch and Judy are demons from hell, and they take the form of the puppets. And so if you sacrifice something for them, they will grant you a wish. And she wished for her daughter to come back. And so Madison is again going through all this stuff. Granny Val's doing her stuff. And so you're wondering, like, well, you know, she's like burying the stuff because she doesn't want no one to get the puppets, right? Even though she should have done that years prior because she had plenty of time instead of 40 years later to do it on her birthday. To get rid of this whole box, you know, like you could have done it the next day or the whatever when Tori and all of them were babies, you know, whatever you could have done to get rid of those beforehand to get rid of them, but she didn't. Again, plot device, whatever. And so the gist of like, okay, I wonder how did the puppets back? You know, what caused them? The girlfriend of Madison, Sally, apparently overheard or interviewed Granny Val about the history of the dolls and decided to make a wish of her own, and that wish is to have a family. How about that, Ian?
Yeah. No, and that didn't make sense.
I hate you. I
my
hate your
family to
guts
be
because my
together."
brother sexually assaulted you. I'm going to yell at you. But you know what? I want a family. I forgive you. Forgive you. What? And like it's like her family. Like she wants to be, I guess, accepted as part of her family. But you're dating her, so you're already accepted as part of her family.
Yeah, and that's like, and you know what else? Like, and I'm gonna give away like this is a kind of mute if you don't want to like be spoiled.
We're already past that, Ian. I already gave the.
No, I know. And I was like, so. And then she goes and turns around after getting mad that, her brother assaulted her and, blaming her girlfriend. And she's like, I'll sacrifice my brother. And then, like, looks at the camera. And I'm like, that, like,
we don't learn anything with this film.
And I was just like, well, and that's the thing, too. Like, I get it. But I was just sitting here like, so I was like, so you sacrifice your brother? Yeah, I get it because he's a piece of shit. But then
but that's the thing. Like I forgot to mention this part is that they do a seance or they light a candle and say they list off names of who they want to be as a family. But if you list off the names, then that's who Punch and Judy comes after to collect souls for, basically. So instead of wanting to become part of the family, they kill the family, basically. And it's kind of, again, a catch-22. But again, it's just that last act was stupid. Oh, I'm sorry for everything. Oh, it's okay. We can do this together. And like, Mom, like, oh, they set you free. Like, they don't want me. They want you. Well, let's go in. Let's all go in together to confront them. We're here. Oh no, clapping. Now we're gonna go to leave you with the puppets and walk out the door, which shuts behind us now. And then they bang on the door trying to get back to you. Like, why did you walk out in the first place?
Right. It's just, oh my Lord. And that's just like, that's what I was saying, like, it just doesn't, this movie was just all over the place story-wise, but like, the puppets biting and stabbing and like tearing. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. And I was like, okay, so these puppets want to make a deal, and if I'll trade a life for a life. I was like, you know what? Okay, I get that. Like that kind of makes sense. Like the puppets, I felt like they had the puppet idea completely fleshed out, and then was like, hey, let's not write a script and just try to like make things up as we go along. We got these puppet ideas. We know what we're going to do and how we're going to do these puppets. But what if we didn't have a script for the rest of the movie?
Yeah. Like, why did Madison yell for her grandma when there was a fire in the house? Also, why was there a fire in the house? Or, no, never mind. That's puppet sleeping gas, apparently, right? Like, Grandma, oh, never mind, I'm falling asleep because there's smoke in the house. And then later on, oh, it's emanating from a puppet's mouth. Like, what?
Right.
Like, why is she yelling for her grandma? Her grandma died the previous day.
Like 3 months. Why are they trying to get revenge 3 months before she's supposed to die? Well, she's already dead. What the fuck? I was like, what line was like? I was like, what? That was the dumbest line in the movie. One of the dumbest ones.
That was dumb. It's almost as dumb as Lila, the Beth's mom. And again, Beth's been missing and James has been missing because they're dead. And then they hear a knock on the door, and it's obviously a female voice. It's Beth, right? Like, Mom, please, they're coming. And then what does the mom say? James? Beth? Like, it's obviously a female voice, and you expect that to be your husband first.
Right.
And then, not to mention, when the very early on scene is Granny Val walking to the kitchen for a cup of coffee, and she walks into the room, and the puppets are watching her, and then she walks into the room and she sees the puppets in the Punch and Judy box, and then she drops her cup, and there's nothing in it after coming from the kitchen, filling it up with coffee. And he's zooming in on that cup.
Sometimes I think she just does this shit just to listen to people bitch and complain.
Now,
like,
see,
this has
probably,
to be intentional at this point.
Because there's no quality control in these films. Like they could have they needed to do something with Granny Val. Like they could have done it where it's all in her head, like it's all just like figments of her head or something, or like they come to life when she's asleep or something. Like there's another one. It's another one of those group of people that put it out called Curse of Humpty Dumpty, and like there's like a mother in there that's like suffering from dementia, and like they very almost do that scenario where like it's almost like it's all in her head, and like there's no Humpty Dumpty doing all the killings and attacking her family for this like curse. But like they could have done the same thing with like Punch and Judy, where like it's all in her head, but then I don't know, it felt like it could have went that way. Like there's a whole litany of different ways this film could have went. It could have went the campy route, the cheesy route, but they decided to go, no, we're going to go the sexual assault route and very deep meaning personal family drama route.
That
involving puppets.
And the puppets themselves were campy. So it's like, it goes from serious to campy. And it's like they're trying to be serious at the same time as being campy. And they don't do it right.
It doesn't mesh.
Like I'm sure there's a way they could have made it work, but at the same time, it's just like, this makes no sense. It's like complete, total, tone shift. And it's just like I said, like I was taken back by the, the sexual assault. And I was like, this literally just was like, yeah, well, this is what your brother did to me. Oh yeah, well, did it really? No, it didn't happen. You're just lying.
How much did you have to drink that night? What were you wearing? It's all your fault. Blame on you, not my idiot brother. And yeah, you're the victim. He's the victim in this. How dare you? That's my brother you're talking about. Yeah, I don't love you.
My brother didn't do that to you, but I definitely had your family killed. So it's like, so you and your brother are pieces of shit.
I don't love you, even though I want to become part of your family. How dare you bring my brother into this?
It was just crazy. Like, it was just...
Tell me what happened. Tell me in exact detail what happened. I don't believe you because you're a bitch. I don't love you, even though I want to become part of your family.
And that was like... I was like, and she still is with her after this?
Yeah. Like, oh, it's okay. I forgive you for calling me a bitch and not believing me for saying that
her going into rage. Her going into rage at the door when she revealed what she did. It was just absolutely comical because you could see it was like, like there was like no emotion behind it. Like teeth was grit, lips were like open, and her fists were clenched, and the mother's like barely stopped her. She was like, ah.
Yeah, very first semester acting class going on. All right, angry. Ah.
And then she just like turns around and sacrifices her brother. Honestly, I thought she was going to sacrifice herself. But nope, brother.
Because there's really no reason to do it. I mean, obviously, you love your girlfriends and stuff, but still, like, oh, I don't have any more family. They're all dead. So
I
might as
want
well
a
kill my
family.
brother.
Yeah, because I want a family. So I'm going to condemn my blood to death.
Yeah.
Because
I want to go to a cursed bloodline.
That makes fucking sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I get it. Because it felt like they got to that scene and they were like, hey, why is she sacrificing her brother? And she was like, let's just make up a reason and then throw it in a random spot in the movie. Because that's what it felt like, was like, you know, it just, like, that's what I was saying. I understand why she would sacrifice her brother and like what, you know, like that, because of all the, you know, what he did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was just like, it was just, you know, it was like absolutely contrived for no reason.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it was just there. And I felt like it was just there for shock value, honestly.
Yeah. It just
And
felt,
I
again,
hate
like I
when
said, it's like
things like
sequel
that.
bait, like
Yeah.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge for a potential sequel. Like now they're gonna go after my brother. That's the sequel. Yeah. I don't know. But this film,
Yeah.
it's again, like I said, it's not Louisa's worst. We can, again, that's one thing with Louisa's films. There's a lot to talk about. Like there is a lot to talk about. And just like all the stuff that happens in them is just like ridiculous, you know, like, and it's just like some things, especially like this one. This is like, again, the most heavy-handed film because of the subject matter involved. That just like, again, like I said, it just comes out of nowhere. Like it's at the hour mark. I'm like, wait a second, where'd this come from? That's just throwing it in there for no reason. And it's just like, again, on a whim too. Like, oh, we're all lovey-dovey at the pond. We're sitting on the bench. Oh, your brother sexual assaulted me in a party. Oh, how dare you? How dare you blame my brother? And it's just like, then it's just like it's, and then like you have the mom, Granny Val suffering dementia, the mother figuring out that she's was dead and brought back to life because of a sacrifice. Her family's dying. You know, it's just like the weirdest shit. And then you involve the stupid puppets, trash talking people, biting them, stabbing their eyes out, and acting a fool. And it's just like, it doesn't mesh. Like, it's like
yeah,
so
like
weird.
there is just like I said, it was just like a major tone shift out of nowhere. And I would have understood better if, you know, like if they made it more of a focal point, like, you know, like if there was something that led up to the reveal, not just like oh, by the way,
like, oh, you're acting strange lately around me. What's given? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. And then, you know, just like, little hints throughout.
Yeah, or when she brings up her brother, the girl like cringes a little bit, or, you know, like acts off when the brother is mentioned.
Yeah, because like they bring it up a little bit, like, oh, Chris was supposed to come. Oh, he's not invited. You know, he's not coming. You know, like, so they kind of hint at it, but they don't do anything else.
Yeah, like it's just, I think it would have made more sense if they would have framed the brother to be like that something was off about the brother the whole time. So that way, you know, when the reveal was happening, you're like, oh, okay. So that's what the deal was with the brother. No, this was just, hey, by the way. Oh, and then, okay, well, this whole argument that we're getting into isn't going to play out throughout the rest of this movie. So, okay. This was just here to set up for the brother sacrifice. And that's it.
Yeah.
We're just using sexual assault as a convenient plot device that we're not actually going to address or do anything about. And honestly, I despise that. I always hate when sexual assault is used as just like a convenient plot device for, and like has no other like substance behind it. like I hate the movie I Spit on Your Grave, but like at least like her story makes sense of why she's like going after these guys. That's a hard movie to watch. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm obsessed with those puppets. I've like actually been like after the movie was over, I was on Amazon looking up like dolls and puppets because I'm like, ooh, every time we watch one of these movies, I always like look up the dolls and the puppets.
Yeah. But the Punch and Judy were in a completely different film. Like I don't know, they got transported into this one. I have no idea. Like, wait a second, this is supposed to be about freaking demonic Punch and Judy dolls, Like, where's the fun? I mean, they're having it. They're having the time of their lives, attacking people and biting them and stabbing them and stuff like that. And then like you get to the brevity of everything. It's like, oh my Jesus.
Like I get it. Like Puppet Master is, it has a bunch of elements like this movie. And, there is assault in that movie. There is, sexual tension and desire, but everything felt like it had its place. Even the puppets meshed well, even though they were campy, going,
yeah. There's a good tone throughout the Puppet Master films where they kind of, know what they're making. Like, yeah, we're making a campy killer doll movie.
I feel like if she were to try this again and like I would say please like watch all of the Puppet Masters if you're trying to emulate them. Actually like go through and sit down and like write down the like what works and what doesn't work in this kind of a movie, because Punch and Judy I thought were fantastic. Like like they were like had quips. They like I just felt like they were fun. I had fun watching the puppets.
Yeah, and like you could have done so much more. Like the Punch and Judy stage could have been like a portal to hell.
I mean, they were supposed to be from hell.
Yeah,
and like there was just like a lot that they could do with it, and I feel like she was onto something with the puppets. Like I felt like this could have been another Puppet Master if she would have just not just threw shit at the wall. And I'm sorry if she decides to listen to this. Like, I really feel like this movie could have been one of her best movies had it not been for the family dynamic. Like, just flesh it out a little bit. Like,
No, because again, like you said, once Punch and Judy come on there, and it goes unstable, where it's just like ridiculous, like, oh, we're have fun today, kids, and then you just start stabbing eyes out and biting them, and it's like, and the way their mouth moves, as you said, there's very Robot Chicken-esque animation, and it's just like
so fun. It was fun. Yeah. I was like, oh man, I love this shit. Like I love the way the dolls look. I want to know where they found them. Because like the wooden dolls things, the voices were pretty good. Like I felt like the voices actually matched the puppets. Like I thought it was a good, like I was like, holy shit, this is great. And when the puppets started popping up, I was like, okay, the overall story is kind of rough at when I was first like 20 minutes into it, and then I just was like, what am I even watching? Yeah. I was like, I feel like I'm watching like two separate movies that were like Frankenstein together.
That's what it is. That's what it is. It's oh boy. But yeah, it's not like, again, I think it just skimmed through it on Tubi, or again, it was on Prime. It'll probably be on Tubi eventually.
The Spanish version's on Tubi.
Yeah, the Spanish version's on Tubi. But I would say just skim through it and watch the Punch and Judy parts, and then just be done with it, because everything else is just blasé and just. I mean, I hate to say that for a film with such heavy-handed tones, but it really is just one of those where it's just in one ear, out the other. I could care less about the story.
Yeah,
And again, it just
exactly.
comes out of nowhere, the hour mark, and then just like all the fun is just kind of sucked out of the room. Like you're having all this fun with Punch and Judy doing their stupid stuff and hijinks, and it's just stupid the way they look and act, and just you can see the arm, the the hand and the puppets, and just it's kind of
that I could
campy.
forgive.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
I
yeah,
love that kind of stuff because I'm like, that the hand in the puppet. I'm like, okay, that adds the charm to this.
yeah.
And
No, that's where it's fun, and that's what I was saying. It's just like it's fun to see that stuff, and then you get the heavy-handed nature of the sexual assault and the family drama, and
and it could be
just
handled so
it's
much
just
better.
like
Like I
wow,
said,
that's a
like I
punch in the
said,
gut.
Puppet Master did the same thing. Like Puppet Master has really heavy themes of suicide and like death and murder, and there's sexual assault. There's like because the woman who has the visions saw that happening and felt it, and she freaked out. And like so you can have heavy-handed heavy-handed themes like that in a movie like this, but you gotta like just not shift the tones around. If you're gonna have like Punch and Judy were fun,
Yeah,
and I want to see them have fun, and I would like to see a more upbeat movie. You can have that stuff in there, but like make it make sense and not just throw it in at random spots, because that right there will take the viewer by shock. Like I said, if she would have built it up throughout the movie before the reveal, then I wouldn't have been taken back by it. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, so that's why she acts like that. That kind of stuff. No, this was like, yep, well, here it is, and there it goes. And it's like, because it literally not only does it just happen, it's just there's no build up for it. And there's no like build up afterwards either.
no.
Like she does and says all this horrible stuff and is
And then they get
responsible
taken
for
by the
the
puppets, and all is
family's death.
forgiven.
Yeah, like, and the family is murdered and all is forgiven at the end. It's like there's no build up, and there's no build leading up to it, and there's no build up afterwards. So it's literally just there and then tossed to the side as like, okay, so this is why we should be okay with the brother getting sacrificed. And because that would have just came out of nowhere. And I'm like, I was like, this still feels like the ending just felt like nothing. Like I felt like there was no payoff at the end of this movie.
And then the fourth wall breaking where she winks at the camera. Like you shouldn't do that with a serious tone the way you've been doing it throughout either.
Yeah, like if it would have just been like campy throughout the whole movie, that would have been fine. Like I liked the way it ended. I just don't like the story of it ending. Like her looking at the camera covered in blood, and then the next day, she sacrifices her brother. I was like, this does not feel earned. Like I feel like this ending definitely did not deserve this. And like I honestly, I don't think I've ever thought I would ever say this, but I want her to make another movie of them and kind of just tweak what they already have. Like I actually really want to see Punch and Judy in a more like
whimsical.
A tone of like a movie that fits the characters, because I absolutely love them. Like, and that would be a movie I would rewatch multiple times because I love killer dolls. I love killer doll movies. Like I own the Puppet Master collection and I've watched it multiple times. I give it a rewatch at least like every other year.
Mm.
And I honestly kind of want to rewatch it now just because like I'm on that kick.
Yeah.
But
again, it's just one of those, like, again, it's sort of one of those late era Charles Band movies where like he kind of still went with the puppets, but then he went with like the racial stuff like Ooga Booga and like all the other ones like that, where it's just like stupid. Like this one, they needed to do something with Punch and Judy like they did with Ginger Dead Man 2, where it was just like fun. Whereas the first one was kind of campy and stupid, but like straightforward. And then the second one came along, it was just fun, like like horror stuff and quips and just like one-liners, and it kind of catered to like a horror fan. Whereas like all because it was about making a horror movie, and so like he was doing all this fun gags throughout the film, and so like it didn't take itself too seriously. That's what they need to do with this one. If they continue on with the sequel, is like it doesn't need to take itself so serious. Like seriously, it is it's too high strung on its own intent, and it just does not need to be there. So you need to take it back, and just like have fun with the Punch and Judy. Again, like I said, make it a port. The Punch and Judy stand a portal to hell. Have their minions come out. Have like a little more Punch and Judy minions and various,
what
olden time, 16th century like.
I was so focused on the story. Was there other puppets? Like I felt like there was other puppets.
There was 4 puppets. Like the little minions. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. How did I forget that in a movie that I literally just watched before? Like,
dude, like I said, man, before the show even started, I was just trying to zoom through like what happened in the film, because again, the only thing I remembered was the big major spoiler, which we discussed, and the puppets.
I don't see, that's the thing. Like, I remember puppets. Like, my brain was registering puppets, but like, I guess because Punch and Judy, were the only ones that you see like towards the end of the movie, that my brain just like checked out and didn't even think about the other the other puppets. Oh my god.
Yeah.
How do you make like, and I feel bad now because I'm, my love for dolls. I'm just like, how did my brain just like completely delete that? I think I was so taken back by the sexual assault. Like literally, that's all I could think about throughout the movie, because I was sitting there like, why are you guys not like having a more serious fight over this? She literally treated you like shit and you're just going to ignore it. Like that's all my brain can think about. Like because it actually made me like mad. And like just how they just like tossed that to the side after bringing it up. But I don't know.
Yeah. Again, we've really kind of, for an inaugural episode of this one, we really went the distance. So I think we managed to cover everything.
We went an hour.
Yeah.
When normally we barely can cover 30.
Well, there was just a lot to cover, man. Like seriously, like there was just when you have these, like again, with every one of hers that we've discussed, it's always been this way. But we've had a timer, and we don't have a timer now. So, but yeah, it's not, like I said, it's just watch the Punch and Judy moments. Those are the key moments to watch if it ever comes out on Tubi, which it probably will. I wouldn't really suggest this at all. It's not her weakest film, but it's the most underwhelming and poorly developed. Because like it should have been like fun, campy, and just like not in your face with messages and assaults and all the other stuff that happens in the film. It does cave in on itself because like the continuity is not good. Dialogue is kind of not there, and it's just drowning out most of the time. You can hardly hear it because of the music. So there's too many factors to really suggest watching this, or to check it out. So that's the reason I think me and Ian both agree. Just skim through it on Tubi, watch the Punch and Judy moments. There's like, again, 2 in the beginning, sort of in early on, and then the big finale at the end, which is only a couple minutes. And that's about it, dude. There's not really nothing else to really worth checking out. But again, it's not her worst. It's just there's still issues. Like we mentioned this. Like, you think after so many years, you think you can fix it, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's just put stuff out as quickly and fast as possible. But Ian, I'm gonna call that the show. As always, it's for our inaugural episode. It was a fun one, and we got a lot discussed and talked about, which I don't think we've done before.
It's been a while since we actually had enough content to run it over an hour.
Yeah,
and I knew
8 Ball 2.
Yeah, like
one.
I don't even think any of our marathon for our Christmas marathon went over 40.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, this one, I don't know. It's just, again, there's a lot of stuff, and
she knows how to get us going.
Yeah, and we got the rest of the month to get ready for these in-depth conversations. And
this isn't the last one.
No, this isn't the last one. We have 3 more, people. We are deep diving into this new catalog of Louisa, and man, she's taken a turn.
I hope this is the worst movie that we watch of hers. I'm just hoping.
Again, I kind of already have the 3 planned, but we'll discuss start one. We'll have to flip a coin on. But as always, Ian, I wouldn't do this without you. And
likewise,
it's always fun and going to these crazy marathons and these in-depth conversation on films that shouldn't have such in-depth conversations to begin with. But here we are. But I appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone listening, and we hope to catch you on the next episode of the Madness of Louisa Marathon. As always, Ian, it's great talking with you, and we will see everyone else on the next Horror Night Oasis.
Good night.